Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. A little road game for me in Las Vegas. Not attending the game on Monday, but working.
Gonna tip my soul.
All right, just got hit with the copyright fine. Bam, that cost us $1,000.
That was like not even 3 seconds.
Dude, so here in that episode of The Office, when Michael Scott is going to take his chick to
Jamaica. Oh yeah, it was like 60 grand, right?
Yeah, he's like 2 tickets to Paris. Bam, NBC got hit with a $60,000 hit just for him like lip syncing half a line. So if they got 60,000, we're going to be at least 70,000 because proportionally that's how it works. Real quick, the rare drive into Vegas, because then I can leave when I want. I might just like bounce Saturday night after work. So I obviously had to stop at State Line, Buffalo Bills. No brainer. Blackjack. And the main reason why you go to Buffalo
for your suited blackjack.
So that's the thing. Ever since William Hill took over Buffalo Bills, they got rid of the free hot dog if you get a suited blackjack.
What?
Like, what's even the point of getting a blackjack if you're not going to get a hot dog?
I remember
when we went. A strongly worded letter.
When we went, we were bummed when it was just a regular blackjack. We're like, it's a shitty blackjack, whatever.
All I'm getting is money. What's the point of that? I want
a free hot dog. We each had like 7 hot dogs.
Oh, it was terrible. Oh, I was so disappointed. I was so sad. And all the pit bosses and dealers were all super young and new. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm so old. I miss the good old days. Old Vegas, $4 buffet, free hot dogs.
That's like when we started going to Vegas, and then like the older guys were like, "Man, I remember when the cocktail waitress used to jerk you off under the table." I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never gotten jerked off over here. I mean, RJ did, but that was different.
I'd still take the hot dog over cocktail waitress HJ, but that's just me. I'm old fashioned. Monday Night Football, baby, prime time. The NFL always gives Raiders their primetime games early in the season because they're like, all right, you guys are going to suck. So but you have a big fan base. So before your season's gone, let's have the primetime games early.
Right.
No different this year. At home, technically, but there are no such thing as home games this season. According to Vivid Seats, it's projecting a 54-46 split in favor of the away team Packers at Allegiant Stadium Monday night. I mean, it's close enough where I feel like home field advantage will be completely determined by who's playing well early. Like whoever can get their fans into it early, they're going to have the home field advantage.
Anything close to 50-50 is going to be on the opposing side's favor because those fans are traveling a long way to get there, and they're going to be really like amped. A lot of the fans that we're going to have are going to be local people. Yeah, a lot of people that we're going to have there are going to be local people who just got free tickets for being in Vegas, or like, yeah, I'm a rich guy and I need to go to this game and I'm going to bring a party to show people a good time. There's nobody with a Packer gear on that's just there to have a good time. They're there to cheer on their Packers to victory. So if it's close to 50-50, they're going to be the louder team.
And then you got to take into account that, probably 1,000 of the Raider fans there are just part of Mark Davis's harem of bitches, and they're not probably going to be too loud. You know what I mean? They're just there to hang out with our sexy ass owner. Raiders favorites, -1 favorites. Now, normally you get like a 3-point swing for being the home team. So if it's like a neutral stadium, you'd be like Packers +2. But because it's like 50-50 or even a little bit more Packers, it's looking like Vegas. This is the first time we've been favored? I think it's the first time we've been favored all season.
No, we were favored against the Steelers, no?
I don't think so.
You sure about that?
No, I'm not. I'm not sure about it. I'm
pretty sure we were favored against the Steelers.
Okay. So favored again. So we're favored twice in 4 games. And I understand why. Like when you go star for star, because normally we're a far less talented team. Like the talent wise, especially on defense, we're just always worse. If you go star for star, We're way better than the Packers. I mean, who do the Packers really have? They have like Jair Alexander and Kenny Clark. And that's kind of it. Like our roster is generally better. Normally we're dealing with a big roster deficit. We have the better roster.
I mean, by reputation, probably, yeah. But as far as how they're playing right now, I don't think that's the case.
I mean, Devonte Adams is playing great. Max Crosby's playing great. Jacobs is not running well, but doing everything else great. Other than last game, O-line pass blocking has been really good. I mean, I think on an individual talent basis, I think we're better. I think they're playing better as a unit. Look, the Packers are very lucky to be 2-2. Really, like they're very lucky.
They have Quay Walker.
Okay.
There's always a chance when Quay Walker's in the game for us.
This is a really big litmus test for the Raiders, and it's kind of perfect that it's prime time on Monday night because this is finally a game. It's not like we should win, like we're 5-point favorites, and it's an upset if we lose. But if everything's going smoothly, we should win this game. If there's problems underlying, Josh McDaniels is losing the locker room. The Chandler Jones thing's dropped a nuke on the team. That heartbreaking loss to the Chargers and a spot like a loss here tells me we know a lot of things are wrong this season. A loss here tells me things are very, very wrong because the schedule this is the soft part of the schedule. Other than playing the Lions in 3 games, it's back to back to back. Like it's 5 of the next 6 games are super winnable. 3 of the 3 worst teams in football we're playing here in this next 6-week stretch. So this is what's got to pop off a little bit of momentum.
So normally the way people or football people look at the schedule is you use your first 4 games to see what you have, right? To see how the players that you have play in the system that you're running and how they're going. Sometimes some people are having a better year than before. Some people are on the uptick or the downtick. Who do you have and how are they performing? You kind of get your bearings the first quarter of the season, and then you just kind of build from there. If we're still looking the same, if we're still making the same mistakes, if we're still leaving the same holes and the same opportunities out there, then there's really not a lot of hope for improvement. We just have to hope that, we don't get intercepted at the end zone, or we make that third down stop late against the Steelers, and then we're able to score. Like you have to wait, you have to hope for those things to kind of like flip in our favor because they weren't in our favor the first time. It's not going to be like we're going to out strategize and out execute other teams. It's just we're going to be in dogfights the entire season because of one of those things or the other, bad execution or bad strategy. And this game's going to tell a lot. I mean, they do have some players, and the thing is, teams seem to have their candidate for a breakout star have big games and have that coming out party against us. Like Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary's like, he's a decent player, and he's like not really named as one of those like edge rushers that's going to be like, yo, this guy's a guy to stop. This guy's a guy to look at. But he's there. He can have a huge game against us and be kind of catapult him into like people's eyes as a big, edge rushing threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just seems to happen against us a lot. So this game's going to tell a lot because it's going to tell us more so about the preparation of the team. I think that our execution has been up and down. Maybe the week off, looking at the game plan, looking at some of the things that Aidan O'Connell was supposed to do or was able to do against the Chargers, gave Jimmy G a little bit of kind of better perspective on what works and what doesn't in this system, and it's able to help him a little bit. But honestly, I'll know within the first half of the game how the rest of the season is going to go, because if we're being out schemed like badly, it's going to be rough.
be prepared for Matt LaFleur to out-scheme us. It's Matt LaFleur.
I'm not so worried about defensively because I think that Patrick Graham has a little bit more foresight and he's able to kind of anticipate what other teams are going to try to do. Because look, it doesn't take a master strategist to prepare for what you see on tape, right?
Yep.
You see what they're doing, you know how to stop it. Okay, that's one thing. But to anticipate what they're going to do in the future, that's where you get like the Andy Reids and
then adjust accordingly as it starts to play out, right? Like that's look, like, all right, let's predict. Let's stick to what makes us good. Let's maximize our strengths, predict what you're going to do, and adjust accordingly, right? Like that's a true game plan.
And the prediction is the big thing because look, there's a big misnomer out here about halftime adjustments. You don't go to the chalkboard and you just drop new shit. That's just not how it works in the NFL normally. What happens is you have all the stuff installed throughout the days of the week and you just go to your different plan. Well, plan A didn't work, so they're doing this, so we're going to do this. Stuff that we've already worked on, not brand new shit, okay? That's not how it works. Yep. So if you're a coach and you have this stuff already installed to be able to flip into play, those are the teams that are able to make those good adjustments. Teams that don't make good adjustments, it's not like, I think we're putting too much. I think it was more of a media thing saying, oh, they're halftime adjustments. Well, no, those are already part of their installs of their game plan from the week. And if you're not looking into the future, you're not predicting what teams can do to stop you and what you can do to counter that. That's when you're in big trouble.
Well, you're going to like, all right, instead of sticking to, pages 1 through 15 of this week's playbook, we're going to 16 and 17 that we were kind of banking for adjustments, like last week against the Chargers, like Khalil Mack's killing us. And so Josh McDaniels started making adjustments to chip him and block him.
Twice.
He made those drastic adjustments when he found out Khalil Mack was killing us. And so Josh McDaniels made adjustments to stop him.
His mentality.
Oh, wait, that didn't happen at all.
His mentality isn't we have to change it up. It's we just have to do what we're doing better.
You need to do my stuff better. It's on you.
Yeah, it's terrible, man. It's not good leadership. It's not good planning. It's not good strategy. And it really puts a big strain on the player itself, on the psyche of the player, because you're constantly hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering and pushing down these players saying, you guys are fucking up. You guys are fucking up. When in reality, a better strategy would have given you a better chance of success. Are even bad plays able to work? Sure, because you have elite athletes that are executing them, right? So it's like, yeah, it could work, but it's the probabilities, it's the chances of them working, and it's the same as like the levels of consciousness, right? If someone's just like unaware, if someone's unaware, you could tell them, you could show them, and they won't get it. A little bit better than that, a little bit more consciousness than that is somebody who understands once you explain it. Then it's someone who remembers after the fact, so for the next time. And then the last level is someone who can anticipate those things, so they can flip that switch. Well, this is working really well, but the last couple plays they seem to be doing something different against us, so I'm going to hit them with plan B. Even though plan A is still working, I'm going to give them something else to think about. And those are the good coaches, and those are the coaches that keep defenses on their toes. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be what we're doing. We're just going out there and this is our game plan. We're going to run it and we're just going to out execute you. And it's like, this isn't the wishbone, suit and body right, run until they bring him in and then pass. It's not that NFL anymore. You have to be a little bit more proactive. And I think we're very reactive. We're almost like we're a week behind, where I don't think what happened against us the first 4 weeks, I mean, maybe the second week because the Bills are just better, but the other 3 games, teams that threw something against us defensively, I don't think that that's going to happen again, because Josh McDaniels seen it and he knows how to combat it. But anything new coming through the pipe that defenses do against us, I don't think we're going to be able to stop it.
You've been hanging out with Aaron Rodgers. Did you accidentally smoke his stuff? Your higher level
I'm a
consciousness.
smart guy, man. What do you want?
Well, Khalil Mack had his revenge game last week. Here's hoping Devonte Adams gets his. I mean, everything he's talked about, he's kind of underplayed it, right? It's like, hey, it's just another game. It's going to be cool, whatever. I think it'd be different if we're in Green Bay than here at Allegiant. But make no mistake, like he was pissed at the Packers. I mean, that's why he left Aaron Rodgers and had a screaming deal for his services because they undercut him the first time. He's like, all right, screw you. I'm a man of principle. I'm not doing this.
Well,
so
they even offered him more money than what we offered him to stay. And he's like, no, I already told you I wanted to leave. I'm gone.
Like, I'm bouncing. So he's a man of principle. And it'd be nice to get, I don't know what a pissed off Devonte Adams looks like other than when he's pushing
always
a camera guy.
Pissed off, dude.
Other than, well, that's my point. It's like, if you're always pissed, you're never pissed, you know, like what's the next level of, like, unless you're carrying cable in the hallway at Arrowhead, you really don't know what a pissed off Devonte Adams looks like.
Get out of his fucking way, man.
Get out of it. Well, dude,
I still think that was horseshit, man. That guy ran right in front of him, dude.
Everything.
He was wearing like regular clothes. It's like, dude, you flash in front of me. I don't know if you're a freaking wild fan or drunk fan or something. Like, I'm gonna freaking get you out of my way.
I can tell you right now, that job that guy had. We're talking, if you guys don't remember, it was when we lost to Kansas City in Kansas City last season. Devontae's going into the tunnel, and this production guy, he's like carrying cable, just runs right in front of Devontae. So Devontae pushes him because he's in the way of a 200-pound NFL athlete. Guy falls over, sues him. We don't know, I'm sure the guy got paid. I work in TV production. Whenever you have a dude who's like, their dad's a VP somewhere, you give him cable job. Because it's like the biggest dumbass gig. All you do is follow a camera guy with cable and make sure the cable doesn't get tangled up, and you stay out of the way. That's all you have to do. So I could teach you in 45 seconds how to do that guy's job.
If you can simultaneously give slack on one end and coil up the other end of cable, I think you can do the job.
I could teach you in 45 seconds how to do that job. It's coil cable and stay out of the way. He couldn't do the second part, and it cost him. So now. Rich man, maybe we're the dumbasses. Maybe we're the dumbasses for like not. Maybe he's the evil genius. I'm sure he's very wealthy now after suing Devontae. Anyway, a really good game out of Devontae would be nice, and we could get one. Jimmy G's coming back. We just released a video yesterday on whether the Raiders should start Farva or Jimmy G string. Josh McDaniels is going to start Jimmy. He's out of concussion protocol. He has been practicing this week. Full practice participant on Friday, so he'll be going. It's the turnovers that bother me the most with Jimmy G. It's the lack of a deep threat and the turnovers. But they don't have anybody that can really cover Devontae, really. I mean, Jair Alexander is awesome.
Jair Alexander is a top corner in the league. He's not like
top, but he's very undersized.
Yeah, he's smaller, but he's found a way to get it done in the past. So it's not going to be a cakewalk for Devontae, but he does have the advantage for sure.
Yeah.
Plus, they have the advantage of practicing against each other while they were teammates.
And I would say advantage Devontae on that because I feel like.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say that for sure. Advantage. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be like him against the Chargers DBs, right? Yeah. But it's definitely going to be an advantage.
Alexander would make a great Raider. Just in your face, talking trash constantly. They call him like a tick. Because he's just constantly bothering you. He's like small and on your ass. Like he's not as physical as like a traditional Raiders corner, but I don't know. He'd make a great Raider. So the Packers defense blitzes 40% of the time. That's fourth in the NFL. They're fifth in pressures, right? It's weird because they only really have one good like edge rusher and Kenny Clark. Like he's good. He's a top 100 player. He's good. But that's kind of it. And so they blitz him.
Rashawn Gary's good too. Rashawn Gary's good.
I mean, he's a serviceable NFL D lineman. I don't know if he's I guess good's fair. I think good is a fair term.
I'm not saying he's great or anything. He's good.
But they got to blitz. They got to blitz to get pressure. And so the ball's got to come out quick, which kind of plays to the general game plan, what Jimmy Garoppolo excels at, right? It kind of plays into what Josh McDaniels wants, right? 3-step drop, get your read, get it out quick, or dump it off to Jacobs. I mean, defensively, we do generally scheme well against this type of defense, more or less. If we scheme good against any type of defense, with how bad our offense has been playing.
Here's the problem that I have. Normally, when you're beating a blitz, well, that was earlier. But when you're beating a blitz, you normally don't want to throw the ball out wide all the time. You want to have stuff over the middle where you can get chunk plays. Whoever's leaving, you're throwing that spot, right? That's where you throw the ball. Whoever's blitzing, that's where you throw the ball, right? Where the void that you left.
The hole.
Exactly.
Gibby.
Kind of like I'm back in high school again. So the problem is the opposing defenses are refusing to let Jimmy G complete passes over the middle against us. In between the seams, in between the numbers, the teams are just packing that in and forcing him to throw it out wide. If that continues, I can see Jimmy G having a lot more turnovers this week, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, throw the ball wherever whoever's blitzing. That's the hot read, right? Well, if you're backfilling that quickly with other players and you're forcing him to throw it out wide more, that's not his. He's probably got the weakest arm, honestly, out of our quarterback group, and this should be a look for screen passes. Look for a lot of screen. If they're blitzing a lot, look for screen passes, and not just running backs. Look for some wide receiver screens. Look for some slot screens. Look for some tight end screens. Look for different kind of screens. If I would be very impressed.
Tight end screens. We're gonna start throwing the ball to tight end.
I hope so, and that's really one of the ways that you can get the ball up the seams and attack defenses up the middle, is doing some, those late release tight end screens. And if we start doing different types of screenings like that, I think it gives us a little bit more of a sense of optimism that Josh McDaniels isn't just going to stick to the same game plan, because we have to start doing different things if we want to see different results. We can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, because defenses know how to slow us down, especially with the quarterback that we have. Jimmy G has to be able to attack all parts of the field, because he can't attack deep. So if he can't attack you consistently past 20 yards, he has to have all 20 yards from sideline to sideline available to him. If you're only allowing him the outside, it's going to be a bad day for him more often than not. So we have to find a way to unlock the middle of the field.
Raiders offense is averaging 15.5 points a game. That's 25th in the NFL. And we're only averaging 65.3 rush yards per game, and that's last. So it really does come down to, can Josh McDaniels and Jimmy Garoppolo find that hole, right? Throwing to where the blitz is, completing them outside, making the dig passes work, the dig routes work, whatever it may be, right? Dumping it off to Jacobs. They're going to have to find a safe space somewhere, right? Because we've already proven we can't be a diversified offense. We can't run the ball. We don't run a lot of draws, and we don't run a lot of screens, right? When you got pressure, what do? Draws and screens. We really don't do it a whole lot. Not getting any production out of our tight ends. It's basically, does Devonte Adams and Jacoby Myers beat you on mid routes, or does Josh Jacobs catch it out of the backfield? That's been the bulk of, that's like 90% of our offense, right? Just those three things. And either we got to maximize one of those three things, or Jimmy G's got to find a safe space elsewhere. I mean, that's really it. That's all this offense is shown to be able to do through 4 games.
Yeah. Unfortunately for our offense, what Josh McDaniels had planned, quick striking, timing offense, defenses are like, I don't care. I don't have any fear of you throwing over the top of us. So we're going to bring everybody down and dare you to. And Jimmy G hasn't been able to. So that quick strike timing offense that he envisioned in his mind is never going to happen with the way defenses are playing us. So
he plays
to be able to run the ball.
He plays like the hot guy, like you got your boys and you're daring people to do stuff. Then like the ballsy ones are like, hell yeah, I'll do that. Jimmy G's like, no, you dare me, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to smile and be the face and have the chicks.
Jimmy G plays like a guy that's more concerned about what chicks think than what dudes think. Because he could play like shit and just.
But then he'd have a good long ball. Chicks love the long ball.
Swear jar. No. Chicks dig it when you pull your helmet off and you look like Jimmy G. That's what chicks do. They can care less what happens between the lines. They don't care.
I feel like they like the long ball. I think they can appreciate the long ball a little bit.
Yeah,
No?
you got an arm like Jared Goff, and then you freaking take your helmet off and look like Ichabod Crane. They're not gonna want any part of you, right? But if you freaking throw 6 interceptions and you pull your helmet off and you look like Jimmy G, I think it's gonna be okay.
I think you're forgiven. I think they still like the long ball, but they'll forgive like a 5 interception game if you look like Jimmy G. They're usually you can win them back pretty quick.
When you're piping a chick down, she's not thinking about, damn, this guy can throw the ball far. It's like, damn, look at how hot this guy is. Trust me, I know.
Wow, he's not. We should do like a little show one time of like things on the field that chicks like. Like he never fumbles. He must have huge hands. You know what that means? like a checklist, like what to like if you're a chick. What to like about
me up like a 6-pack.
Right? He never drops the ball. His hands are huge. Oh yeah. On the other side of the ball, our run offense is atrocious. Packers run offense ain't much better. 74.5 yards per game. It's 30th. However, Aaron Jones has been hurt and most of the season, barely played last week. I know I have him in my fantasy. He should get a heavier workload Monday with also the added extra day of rest and recovery. It's going to be a mixture of I think their run game is going to pick up a little bit considering how bad our linebackers are and the way their quarterback is able to move so much. Like if there's one thing you can count on from Jordan Love, it's he's pretty, like you got to account for him. And so I can imagine Matt LeFleur saying, all right, we're going to get Jones running again. And we're going to say, hey, Jordan, if someone's not open, just go. Just use your legs. There's no way Spillane is going to catch you.
Yeah. Defensively, they have some like dynamic receivers. They have guys like Dobbs and Watson. Those are dudes. Like those guys can play. And the fact that Love puts a lot of pressure on the defense with his legs, he's not looking to run. He's looking to run to beat you deep. Like if he's moving around, he wants to get the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And Watson and Dobbs are good at that scramble plays. They're good at breaking free from a defender and getting open deep. And that's what he's looking to do. Can he run? Sure, but he's not really using that. He's like a Mahomes in a way where he's using his escapability or his mobility to make you pay deep. As far as like we were talking about, we need to run the ball like that. That's all part of unlocking the field, is being able to run the ball and just being able to scheme a little bit better, some different plays and get things going. We haven't seen the jet sweep in a while. I don't know why. We didn't see the jet sweep last game. We should run that play at least once a game. We should run the action at least 3 times a game. Different plays off of it. That's one thing that we still haven't done. I don't know, man. It just seems like McDaniels is very stuck. This is going to work. We just have to do it better. And he, again, like I was talking to you in the other show, is he doesn't account for the human element. He doesn't account for the fact that, there's really good players who can just blow up a play and make a great play on the other side, even if we execute. And so how do you maximize the percentage of the probability of success? He doesn't think that way. It's just do this better and it'll work. And defensively, I have a lot more hope. Defensively, I have a lot more hope that Patrick Graham, because he did have a good game plan against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I mean, look, a lot of these guys were in position to make plays. Just, our linebackers weren't tackling very well.
Yeah.
And we saw the difference in tackling between David Long and Jacorian Bennett. I think Jacorian Bennett is a much better tackler than David Long. And we saw that in the previous games, but he didn't play all that much. Jacorian Bennett didn't play all that much. So we missed that other, a better tackler out there. Hobbs wasn't out there. So hopefully the addition of those guys helps, because we're going to need it against, the Packers running game. But I'm a lot more confident that our defense can put out a good showing than our offense.
Well, speaking of the defense, I mean, it's still awful. Least amount of turnovers in football, near the bottom in most categories, sacks, points per game. However, and I'm glad you're sitting down, Soto, because I don't want you to faint and hit your head and have a concussion again. We're almost kind of approaching average in yards per game allowed. We're 18th in yards per game allowed. I think that's the highest stat we've ever had defensively in the last 3 years. As long as the Autumn Windbags has been around, I don't think defensively we've ever been as high as 18th in yards per game allowed. I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's something that
it helps when you play the Steelers and Broncos, but still.
Yeah, it helps. But we also did a really good job against the Chargers too, and they were hurt. Yeah. But again, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. So I'm much more concerned with points per game allowed than yards per game allowed. Where are we there?
Like 20th or something. Still bad.
Yeah.
That's my point, is we're still bottom of the barrel in almost every single stat. But I mean, yards per game is, as far as stats defensively, I mean, points per game is the most important, right? It's when you care about the most. Yards per game is pretty close to what I would think is one of the most important stats you want to do. Like if you can keep guys from moving the ball, that's 80% of the battle.
Well, the problem is with us is they're not moving the ball against us a lot of times because they don't have to move the ball very far because we're turning the ball over so much.
That's why the points per game.
But that's the point.
To the offense's credit, we're not doing the same for our offense because we have 1 turnover in 4 games. So it's, it's all kind of playing into each other. I was just blown away. I was like, I'm just dead inside about our defense. I just made peace with the fact that's like, okay, yeah, like our defense is just awful, bottom of the barrel, not getting turnovers, not getting sacks. It's Max Crosby just trying to drag the other 10 guys somewhere. We're like, oh crap, we've quietly limited the production of some offenses, and it's like, I'm so excited we're approaching average in one metric. Like, that's just how sad it's been. It's like we were so happy about our defensive effort last week when we held them to 24. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's just, and but that's realistic, right? You have to start somewhere. You have to build off of something and say, look, we did X well, especially in the second half. Like, there's something to build on. There is potential there. So it's, it's something to get excited about.
It's something, but the thing is like, especially defensively, you start making those jumps once you see where players can excel.
Yeah.
So you start knowing, okay, these guys are getting better at X, Y, and Z. I can then formulate a game plan to put them in positions where they're going to do what they do well, and I don't have to ask them to do anything that they don't do well. Mm-hmm. So when we start seeing what players can do well, now when you have a team out there like the defenses we had the last couple of years, where like nobody's doing anything really well except for 1 or 2 guys, then you're like, well, what am I going to do? Like I can't put them in. I can't, protect everybody, right? Yeah. But at least now some players are making plays, and our secondary is playing a little bit better. The linebackers had a rough game on last Sunday. Their tackling was just god awful. Some of their angles were really bad. We just need to get more production out of our defensive line.
One of the other, I would say, top 5 storylines of this game I found interesting is it's a brotherly kicker battle.
Yeah,
Anders Carlson, the rookie, he's him and Daniel both kicked at Auburn. I completely forgot. Like, I saw during the draft when he got drafted 5th, and they're like, oh, Daniel Carlson's brother Anders also kicked at Auburn, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll root for him. I'm down. You want Daniel's brother to do well, except when he's playing the Raiders. And I completely it's just like, I thought of that for 5 seconds during the draft and completely forgot about it until now. I was like, oh, sweet. He's good, dude. He's 5 for 5 with a long of 52. Like, he could be,
yeah.
I mean, he's starting off better than Daniel. It's a tiny sample size. It's 4 games, but remember, Daniel, like, the Vikings didn't even make the squad with the Vikings, and we picked him up, and now he's 2-time NFL points leader, right? He could be as good or better than Daniel, the younger brother.
Yeah, the problem that The problem that I see in this matchup of kickers is when you have two brothers that are really talented at something, normally the younger brother is better.
Yeah.
Normally, not all the time.
He had to focus on technique to beat the older brother because the older brother had size and experience. And luckily it's kicking where it's independent of the brother. You know, you're just doing the best for you. It's not like you're wrestling where you have to like beat him and you get like a mental edge. Hopefully there's that older brother mental edge that Daniel has. Like Anders is about to kick a field goal. He just looks over and Daniel's just like you're in the backyard when you're little kids, just intimidate them a little bit. Kick, however a kicker
miss it. Psych him out.
Well, Mom always love me more.
Hang on a second. I got something here. I think there's somebody who's still hanging out hope for a good old JMD. Check that out.
Doesn't know throw picks or commits to. That'd be nice. I can guarantee Josh McDaniels won't fumble, throw a pick, or commit a stupid penalty.
He does plenty on his own.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee he won't have I can't guarantee he won't have a stale game plan. I can't guarantee he will make suspect personnel decisions. I can't guarantee he won't make poor end game decisions strategy wise. What else? I can't predict he won't fire up his team to go out there and win one for the Gipper.
When he what was he talking about when during the presser when he's like, I forgot the context it was in. I was like, well, how about making like second half adjustments or like, having guys pepped up. He's like, well, it's not like I have to give him a win-win for the Gipper speech. I was like, yes, you fucking do. You're a football coach at every level. Pop Warner, junior high, high school, community college, NFL. Every coach, every leader in everything needs to motivate their troops. He's like, well, I don't have to like give them like a speech or anything. Like, what? Like, that's his mentality. It's like, I don't need to like give like what am I, some kind of coach? I don't need to give him a speech. I'm a computer programmer. They're robots. I just tell them what to do and they do it. I was like, good God, man, he doesn't get it.
Yeah, he does. Like I said before, he doesn't understand the human element. He doesn't understand that somebody who is, these guys are all driven. They're in the NFL. They work hard. Like, they're all driven. But there's times where things just aren't going their way for whatever reason, whether it's an injury or a bad matchup or bad play calling, bad strategy. And you need to give them that little extra oomph to get them up to that 100% level. And he doesn't believe in that. He doesn't believe in that human element. I don't know that he's mastered the concept of personal interaction. You can't coach and talk to and lead everybody the same way. Not everyone responds to the same thing. It just seems like he's going to do it the same way no matter who it is. And some guys respond to it and some guys don't. Usually the better players, the more driven, the more like cerebral players are the ones who are going to react because they understand like the meaning behind what a coach is doing when they're like really like fiery. They understand the meaning behind it, so they can grab that meaning from other things. Some of these guys just want to get, younger guys especially, just want to get pumped up, want to get fired up to go out there and make it happen. And these guys are just going at it right there.
I was gonna say there's a cat fight between two dude cats.
It's something that wasn't discussed in Josh McDaniels pre-season press conferences last year before he coached a game, talking about things that he learned to do. I don't know that he really focused on, even in the interviews, on his personal interactions and his personal development with individual players. I think it was just, coaching stuff and stuff like that. I don't think he really harped on that. I don't know that's something that he really focused on because it really hasn't changed. And it's a shame because, that's why being great is so rare, because these guys have it all figured out. And it's just something that it's just innately in him. It can be as simple as making a joke, Like I remember one time okay, we were getting like totally smashed, right? It's a halftime, and the coach comes in and he's like, "Man, they're really kicking the crap out of us, huh?" And everyone just kind of started giggling, like, "Oh shit!" Like, oh, swear jar. And it's okay. Now that we're kind of got that little nervous tension out of the way, let's figure out what we can do. Let's break that ice a little bit. I think it's just, and I think that's a good word for it. I think there's a lot of tension in that locker room, even though if it's not directed towards Josh McDaniels. I think the fact that he's just so serious about things. I think you've not counted a couple of yours, but whatever.
I've absolutely counted. I'm keeping you honest, and you keep me honest. I've absolutely been counting. You've done 2 today, 5 to 8.
There's a lot of, I feel there's a lot of tension there, and I don't know that Josh McDaniels is doing much to break that tension.
And that's why the self-motivated players are immune to it, right? That's why Devonte Adams, Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, they're immune because they're self-motivated psychopaths in a good way, right? So it's like they're immune to a coach that can't motivate. Like they're that's going to happen no matter what. But that's because they're the 1% of the 1%. Like that's not normal. Like everyone else, like to get the most, I could be a very good self-motivated, like to be in the NFL, to be an NFL starter, you got to be a pretty motivated guy, right? You're not a complete schlub. Like there's you have the physical tools, you have enough mental capability to be an NFL. There's something special there, but maybe you're only 80%. You need a good motivator, someone to get you going, to get you to 90, 95, 99%, right? That's what it takes. I think, going back to Daniel Carlson, I think that's why he's immune to it, right? Kickers, that's not how they're wired. They are robots. It's just like, all right, as long as you get your nerves under control in big moments, you're just kicking. You're not getting jacked up. It's just, where's the wind? Work on my reps. How's the snap? Make my adjustment and go. Like it's simple as that, right? You're not a linebacker that needs to I'm ready to rock. My nerves are up where they're supposed to be. The adrenaline's going. Let's go. It's like, you either have to be, it's either a position where you're independent of it, or you're the 1% of the 1% psycho that is immune to it. God bless Daniel. Going back to the Carlson brothers, Daniel and Anders. If you're their dad, are you bragging that your kids are in the NFL, but because they're kickers, you're just kind of like, if they bring it up, you'll say it, but are you walking around with your chest out when you have 2 kicker sons in the NFL?
I think that the best play is to make fun of it. Yeah. These genetic makeup comes from their old man.
These superior apex athletes, these alpha males. They're NFL starters, baby. They're some of the best athletes in the world. Let me tell you.
The best of the best.
We joke about it, but still, even to be an NFL kicker, did you see any of Pat McAfee when he was doing his WWE stuff?
Oh yeah, he looked natural. He looked really good,
dude. I'm not even talking about obviously he has the mouth, right? But when he did a backflip off the turnbuckle, landed on his feet, this is punter, the least athletic position in football. He's been retired 7 years, six, however long it's been, right? It's been several years. He's a full-time broadcaster. He can't be in the gym 5 hours a day, right? He owns multiple businesses, full-time broadcaster, does a show 5 days a week, does a show every single weekend. And still he's a better athlete than any of us know personally.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's the caliber of athlete
too, because I was thinking about that. I was talking to our friend about that, who was also a wrestling fan. And Pat McAfee and Logan Paul looked better and more athletic, and their moveset was better than any of the new guys they have coming up, because they weren't indoctrinated in that you have to do things this way, cookie cutter, boom, boom, boom. It's like, I watched wrestling when I was a kid. I know what I like to see. Show me a couple things and I have athletic ability. It's like, no, I wasn't cloned into through NXT to make me a certain to do things a certain way. And they're great, man. They're great.
Injury report currently out. This is Friday's injury report. Not too bad for us Raiders. Devonte hasn't practiced all week because of that shoulder. I feel like he's still playing. I think that's
He's
more.
fine. He's fine.
I think that's
he's
more just kind of just erring on the side of caution type of thing. The extra
Hobbs is my one that I'm worried about.
Hobbs we need, and he's had an issue. Full practice for Jimmy on Friday, like we mentioned. Max Crosby just limited. The knee, I feel like it's just kind of the standard issue, wear and tear of playing at 1,000,000 miles per hour like he does. The only really thing for me anyway, could be surprised, right? We thought Jimmy G would play last week. He didn't. Hopefully Devontae's not only can play, but close to 100%. Nate Hobbs is the one we're watching. Not quite as lucky for the Packers. Half of their starting offense is on this report. Half. Like all these limited practices. Their star running back, obviously, still kind of hampered. So we'll keep an eye on it. Again, that extra day, we're glad we have it for Devonte and Nate, but it's going to help them a lot more. The biggest storyline for me, and I think the biggest storyline with the Raiders, period, is does Josh, how long does Josh McDaniels last? And if he does or doesn't, how does that unplay? How does that unfurl? I think that's the national story about the Raiders.
Look, if we lose to, let's say, the Packers or one of the New York teams who are god awful, if we lose to one of those teams badly, then I can see the fuse getting a little bit shorter, because I don't know that Mark Davis has like the mental fortitude to stick to his guns after he's getting so much heat. Like we're talking about in the show this week. I don't know how used to he is getting that type of heat in his, like, that was as close to being in someone's face as you can be without being physically in their face.
As close to a billionaire as you can get.
I mean, I don't know the last time that he was talked to like that where spit was able to fly in his face. That's how close those people were. Yeah. And I don't know.
Within loogie distance.
Within loogie distance. Now, if I had to put money on it, I would probably say that Josh McDaniels finishes the season, because of, I think it's more of an ego thing now with Mark Davis to say, well, this is what I said I was going to do, so I'm going to do it type of thing. But we're seeing a couple of chinks in the armor.
If he is going to save his job, it's going to be this stretch. 1-point favorites over the Packers. Short week, but home game next week for the Patriots, one of the worst bottom 5 team in football. Then it's the Bears, bottom 5 team in football. Then it's at Detroit, good team. That's going to be a tough game. And then we're home back-to-back against the New Jersey teams, Giants and Jets. So both those teams are traveling across the country, both terrible teams. In the next 6 games, we should be the favorites in 5. Everyone but the Lions. As of right now, we would be the betting favorites, mostly because they're home, bad teams, and a lot of travel for them. If he can't wrangle up, if Josh McDaniels can't wrangle up 3 wins in the next 6, if he can't go 3-3 in the next 6, that's awful. That's
really, if we're sitting at like 2 wins or 3 wins after all that.
And you're right. If we're losing by 1, it's going to take a lot of sting off. But if we get blown out to like Giants and Jets back-to-back or something, that's going to be a big part of it too. I think it's mostly just record, right? In the NFL, you are what your wins and losses are, but the blowouts do affect. So if we can't go 3-3 in this, it's going to be tough, because the schedule after that gets brutal, right? Chiefs, Dolphins, all these tough teams.
Well, Chiefs twice, and Dolphins. It's a tough stretch, but that's if I'm looking at this with an optimistic eye. The problem is a lot of this optimism is predicated on Josh McDaniels showing us things that he hasn't shown us.
But this is the thing. These teams are so bad, McDaniels could get away with just being his old self and still win, especially if our defense is trending up, right? If our defense is trending, Patrick Grant starting to figure it out. These teams are so bad. The Bears are so bad.
The problem is we're so bad too.
I know. But that's no, I get what you're saying, right? But My point is like,
I mean, with an optimistic eye, I get it.
The wins could be fool's gold. Like Josh McDaniels could not have learned anything, but still, the ball goes our way and we go 5-1 in the next 6. Just because we go 5-1 in the next 6, that doesn't mean Josh McDaniels has learned the error of his ways, is getting better, figuring things out. It could be he's just who he is. We're just playing worse teams. Optimistically, like you said, hopefully it is because Josh McDaniels getting his act together. Players are buying in. There's a give and take. They're starting to figure it out. The recipe's starting to be formulated. That's what we're hoping. And that's how you do that, is against the bad teams, right? Like that's when you're like, let's try something. Oh, it's working. That's how you build the confidence. That's how the formula starts to start cracking a little bit. That's the goal. I'm just saying the record by itself doesn't automatically mean Josh McDaniels has figured it out. The teams we're playing are that bad.
Yeah, the problem is the decision maker may not think that way.
Yeah.
The decision maker, just because we're winning games, the bottom line, we're winning games. Bottom line, we're winning games. Well, what goes into it?
New England and Chicago, it'll work against Miami. Like, no, not that way.
But the thing is, like, if we have, let's say, for example, we're able to pull it around and, we take advantage of this next stretch and, we're somewhere in the middle, right? And we're able to draft ourselves a quarterback. Like, how much confidence do you have that Josh McDaniels is going to be able to develop a young quarterback by himself without the leadership of a Bill Belichick kind of guiding, that development?
How many quarterbacks as a head coach has Josh McDaniels like thwarted, like got the worst out of them? Carr, Jimmy G. He traded away Locke in Denver. Didn't even have a chance to see where that could go.
What did he trade away Locke, or was it Cutler?
Cutler. Excuse me, Cutler traded away Cutler after a Pro Bowl season. Like, he gets the worst out of his quarterbacks. Like, I've lost count how many quarterback seasons he's torpedoed as head coach.
I mean, he took over an already ascending Tom Brady as coordinator.
Yeah.
Now, to his credit, but the thing is it's still under the guidance of Bill Belichick. You have what's his name? Jacoby Brissett was one of his guys. Jimmy Garoppolo early in his career was there, and he played well. Mac Jones, when he was there, was the best we've ever seen Mac Jones play.
As an offensive coordinator under Belichick, there's no question what he's capable of, but literally everywhere else. Who was the quarterback when he took over the Rams, when the Rams had the 32nd ranked?
Oh God, offense? I don't even know. That whole franchise. I kind of discount that season because that whole franchise was just in the crapper.
But I mean, 32nd ranked offense, last as offensive coordinator. I mean,
look, you said it yourself. When you have, that type of self-motivated player, his coaching style works. If you have a bunch of just scrubs and guys that are mailing it in for the check, it's just going to make it even worse.
Not even scrubs, just normal football players who are good, and you get more out of them when you motivate them.
We'll off camera, we'll take a look at their roster. It wasn't good.
All right. Anything else?
Not really. No, I think we said what we had to say. Ultimately, it comes down to preparedness. We have to be prepared. We have to be prepared for what we want to do, and also what the opposing team is going to do against us to combat what we want to do. We have to have that ready to go already. We have to have that kind of fingertip feel to be able to be agile enough to do it at the right time and to switch up. Show more creativity, offensively and defensively, and just execute better. Better execution offensively as far as blocking wise is a big one. Tackling wise, defensively is a big one. Talent wise, we have more top end talent. We just have to make sure that the other guys, just do their job. Don't try to do anything crazy. Just do what you're supposed to do when you're in position to do it. And we should come out with the victory.
I think almost poetically, this game is going to come down to the Carlson brothers because both our red zone offenses ain't great. I think it's going to be like 4 field goals to 3. It's gonna be like one touchdown each, and then who gets more field goals. I honestly think it's gonna be a Carlson battle. Daniel versus Anders.
Why don't we just run like a oomp offense and put everyone on one side and Devonte Adams like on another to kind of force them to single coverage them and just give them 25 catches?
I'm not against it. Why don't we just do that every play?
Well, I mean, it makes sense to me.
All right. That's it for us. We will be doing a live show immediately after the game on Monday night. So it'll be a late one. I don't know what our blood alcohol levels will be, but it won't be 0. But I'm with you. Optimistic. Should be a fun game. And it leads to the softest schedule for us. So this is a jumping off point. We're taking that first left. If there's a NASCAR race, we're taking turn 1 and we're seeing where it goes from here. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me.